Howdy all. I've picked this park today to come out to because I wanted to talk a little bit about some modifications to my wheelchair. I've got a festival to go to next weekend which is called WOMAD, and it's all going to be on like pretty flat but grassy sort of parkland. So I wanted to test it out a bit and see how I go with a few different things that I've got to try out. But anyway, so the WOMAD park was closed because it's being fitted out for WOMAD, so I couldn't get in there. So I picked this other park nearby. There's a bit of sports ball happening nearby, so sorry if there's a few whistles and shouts in the background, but it looks pretty quiet here. And sorry if I'm a little bit vague today. I had an edible last night and watched Wet Hot American Summer. It's pretty wild. My last video was about using my wheelchair and my initial experiences with it, and I talked a little bit about how I had this expectation that once I had it, everything would be pretty easy, and finding some areas that are not easily accessible, like anything with a bit of gravel or dirt, grass, all that sort of stuff takes its toll on your body. And I've actually got a bit of tennis elbow going at the moment, which is pretty painful, and a little bit worried about it leading up to the festival, but I'm hoping I can take a bit of load off of that injury with a few things that I've got that I wanted to show you today. But I also just thought that in general I'd talk a little bit about my wheelchair modifications that I've made since I've had it. So when I got my wheelchair, the first thing that I changed on it was the backrest, I think. When it came directly from Tylight, the backrest that it had was just sort of like a fabric one. It's just this sort of slung fabric thing that goes between the posts and it velcros. And you can sort of change how loose and tight it is. I didn't really like that. I felt it had a bit too much give in it. Didn't really have any padding or anything like that. And the sorts of wheelchairs that I'd seen, I knew that I wanted something a bit more rigid, kind of even sporty, if you like, I guess. So I got a Specs low curve, low profile backrest, I guess you'd call it. It's aluminium with a bunch of padding. It doesn't really move or anything like that. It's a pretty simple thing. Maybe one day I might get a carbon fiber one just to save a little bit of weight, I guess. But at the moment I'm trying to sort out a new wheelchair with my insurer, and I should probably wait to find out the outcome of that. So I'm not buying a backrest for this chair that doesn't fit the new one, and so on. But I'm pretty happy with this one. It's comfortable, it's got lots of padding, it's relatively light, obviously not as light as a fabric backrest, but light enough, I think, and a good trade-off of weight and comfort. I think the next modification that I got were these carbon fiber clothes guards. So these just sit in the side of the wheelchair just to stop your clothes from fouling in the wheels and whatnot. When I got the wheelchair, it had just some plain black aluminium ones, which, to be totally honest, are like completely fine. There's nothing wrong with those, but I'd just seen a lot of people with carbon fiber clothes guards on their wheelchairs, and it felt like they came up to me and looked a little bit at me like, so I just had to be like part of the club, really. Obviously being a bit of a dickhead, but to be honest, I guess I was hoping to save a few grams in weight, and I might have saved like grams in the single digits, but there was probably not much point in purchasing these besides the aesthetic, to be honest. The next thing that I got were brakes. So a lot of wheelchairs just come with sort of like standard basic plastic brakes, and I heard that the plastic brakes can break. That's confusing. The brakes can break. Anyway, so I replaced the plastic brakes with some aluminium ones. I got ones by a company called Eagle, and they're good. They're very good. They seem very sturdy. They are a little bit tricky to snap on and off, depending on how inflated your tyres are, since they do push directly on the tyre. Sometimes they can be a bit tight, and you really got to sort of like give them a good whack to take them off. It's fine. They're good. I like that they're probably very reliable and sturdy, but they are pretty tough to actuate sometimes, and I have like smashed fingernails before, like because I hit them just at the wrong angle or something like that. But good, I think a worthwhile purchase, because the last thing you want to be is out and about and have one of your brakes break. The next modification that I purchased were these push rims. So hopefully you can see here, but basically this rim here is the interface with between your hands and the wheels, and that's what you use to grip and do your pushing with. So the standard push rims that come with most wheelchair wheels are thin aluminium. You don't have heaps of purchase and grip on them because they are thin. They're nice and light, which is awesome. When you're stowing things in and out of the car all the time or what have you. But I went to a wheelchair supply place and I tried these Gekko push rims, and basically they have a bigger profile, so there's a lot more to grip onto. But they've also got this rubberized strip around the edge, and that gives you a lot of purchase. So your hand really sticks to that, which is a lot more efficient. Every push that you do, there's more of your energy going into pushing. Whereas I find with the standard ones, you do slip a bit and you lose a bit of that efficiency. So yeah, I really rate these. I think they're really good and probably one of the best purchases that I've made so far, just in terms of wheelchair handling and getting out and about and all that sort of stuff. They do add weight though. For me, it's not a huge issue. Like I want it to be as light and lean as possible. But when you're pulling the wheelchair apart and stowing it in the boot of your car, and you're taking the wheels off each time, you're cutting that weight down each time you take a wheel off, so I'm only ever having to lift, just this part and not all of it together. And it definitely does add a bit of weight, like you can feel it. But yeah, to me, I think that trade-off is worth it. And one of the really cool things about it is about these push rims is that if with the standard aluminium push rims, if you get wet and your hands get wet, they're very slippery. So it's like almost impossible to break, But with these ones, because of the rubber part on them, even if that's wet, you've got a fair bit of purchase still for braking. And when they're dry, you can kind of vary your posture on the push rim as to whether you're grabbing metal or rubber. So it's, you've got a couple of different options there, which I find really, really useful. So yeah, for anyone using a manual wheelchair, I definitely recommend looking into alternative push rims. You can even actually get wooden push rims, which look super slick, definitely suit this hipster aesthetic that I've found myself with. But I'm just conscious of the fact that, yeah, I don't know, I really like these ones. I think the wood ones, you can see these are pretty scratched up and stuff, so the wood ones are going to get pretty hacked anytime you accidentally rub them against stone or something like that, which can happen when you're getting around. But yeah, big fan of these Gekko push rims. Next up, I've got this bizarre looking thing which is called a Freewheel. So this is basically an attachment that goes on the front of your wheelchair. So a wheelchair, generally speaking, will have small little caster wheels on the front of it, which are really good for like super smooth surfaces, like in shopping malls, in your house if you've got tiles or floorboards or something like that. Yeah, they work really, really well for that sort of surface. But as soon as you hit like pavement that's pretty rough and has cracks and undulating surfaces, or gravel or grass or anything like that, those little caster wheels are going to struggle a bit and they're going to catch on things and make life a little bit difficult. So the idea behind this thing is basically you attach it to the front of the wheelchair using this clamp here. Hopefully you can see that okay. And by default, it sort of hangs off the ground. But when you rotate this wheel around, it has a bit of an angle to it, so that then like jacks the front of the wheelchair off of the ground, or the caster wheels off of the ground. And that means that those little caster wheels no longer touch the surface or the ground that you're rolling on, and instead you're rolling on this, which is a big, thick tire, more suited for like some off-road stuff. So I'll give you a bit of a demo about how that works. Okay, so the way that this works, and I've worn the crotchiest pants ever, so I've probably made it a bit hard for you to see, but if you can see down there, that's the foot plate for my wheelchair. And grabbing the Freewheel now, and I'm going to spin this wheel out so that it sticks out in front of me, and doesn't really like foul on the ground much. And then basically you pull this lever, hook it on the back of your foot plate, get it in the middle so that you've got equal room for your feet. Lock that in just by pushing it down, which doesn't take much strength, you know, at all to do. Sit back like you normally would. And then basically at the moment, the wheelchair is working in just, you know, your typical sort of way with the caster wheels on the ground. So yeah, basically what you do then is you cruise around on your casters, find a spot that's got a bit of a lump to it, and the Freewheel will catch like that. And then you just sort of like rotate around like that. Hopefully you saw that. And now the Freewheel is the only wheel that's sort of touching at the front of the wheelchair. So the caster wheels are no longer touching, so they're not fouling on the gravel or anything like that. And it's a lot easier. Like this is a pretty, you know, gravelly path. I'm putting in pretty little effort to be able to roll around. Yeah, it makes a big difference, and definitely something that I'll be using at the festival on the weekend. So yeah, I'll go on some grass here, which is pretty much what I'll be doing next weekend. And yeah, pretty doable, you know, like you're not going to go heaps fast. It still takes a fair bit of effort, but it's heaps easier than just having the casters rolling around on the grass. And the last sort of thing that I've purchased most recently, which I'm pretty excited to try out, is these. So basically it's a standard wheelchair rim, I think, with the sort of like thin push rim that I was talking about before, but it's got a thick off-road tyre on it. And I'm hoping that that's going to make a bit of a difference when it comes to getting around on grass and gravel and dirt and stuff like that. Maybe even sand, we'll see, I'll try it out. So yeah, these are called, they're by Schwalbe. I don't know. They make the tyres for my standard rims as well. But these are called Billy Bonkers, which is pretty fun. So I'm going to give these a go. But yeah, I haven't tried them yet, so I'm pretty excited to go for a whirl on this grass and sort of see how it goes. So I'll take you with me. All right, well, let's chuck these Billy Bonkers on and we'll see how they go. So it's just a button there, you push that in, locks into the hub like that. That's number one. You can probably, hopefully see the difference in profile there. So they're probably double, a bit more than double. Let's chuck the other one on. All right, cool, let's give it a go. Okay, so the push rims are very noticeable. I haven't used these sorts of push rims for a while, but man, that's a fair bit easier on grass. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to make that much of a difference. I can feel a bit of give in the tyres because, you know, they don't get inflated as much as a normal tyre. But that's cool. And there's a bit of soft grass here by the looks, so I'll go off-road here. And yeah, it's pretty good. You know, it's not, it's still a bit of work, but I think it's better. It was a lot more obvious over there on the shorter grass. But yeah, I think this is pretty good. I think this is going to make getting around a festival a fair bit nicer. I am missing the push rims though. My normal push rims, yeah, are a lot grippier, a lot easier to grab hold of. So I had a bit more of a roll with those wheels, and I found it to be a bit of a mixed bag. So definitely like an improvement, but the push rim issue was vexing me a little bit. It was a little bit tricky to yeah, grip them as well as I'm used to with these push rims, the Gekkos that I talked about before. So I might see if I can swap them over for WOMAD if it does prove problematic on day one, but I'll try them out sort of as they are to start with. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. So just the modifications to my wheelchair. I don't think there's too many more in the pipeline. I am pursuing some additional funding with my insurer to try and get a new wheelchair. So I don't want to spend too much more on this one. But there's also not really too much that I need to change, I don't think. Oh, one thing actually that I didn't mention is the cushion. So the cushion that I've got is just basically just a square slab of foam. Works pretty well for me. I did change cushions last year. I sort of side graded, if you will, from a really soft one to a slightly firmer one. And that did coincide with a little bit of leg pain and some symptoms that I didn't have before. So I don't know if that's it, but I do have an appointment with a seating specialist in a few weeks just to, yeah, see what options they've got and maybe try that out and see if it helps at all. Just, yeah, even get an opinion from a specialist, you know, would be useful, I think. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. So yeah, I'll see you at the next one.